couple of weeks ago,
How about you show them how Microsoft is killing Palestinians? How about you show them how Israeli war crimes are powered by Azure? And Microsoft workers refuse.
Are you having a seat right here? Sorry. Are you having a seat right here? Oh, then you can have
Free Palestine! Well, you just watched a speech by Microsoft CEO get interrupted by a pro-Palestinian protester. And the CEO was interrupted by a member of No Azure or Azure for Apartheid, which is a pro-Palestinian group of Microsoft employees. Now, these are AI focused employees. Azure is the, Microsoft version of AI. And now, according to that same group, Microsoft is literally preventing its employees from sending emails with words like Palestine and genocide. So look, Cenk, I think you and I both agree, interrupting speeches and stuff, I think in some cases, fine. But when you interrupt someone speaking to the point where they're like literally unable to speak, I start to get uncomfortable. We should allow people an opportunity to make their case and then protest, actions. Like if I were an employee over at Microsoft and I knew that Microsoft's AI is being used by the IDF in Gaza and it's leading to the deaths of a lot of innocent people, I would quit Microsoft and do it very publicly in a spectacle to make a point about how this technology is being used. In this case, interrupting the CEO, okay. But then the employees should quit and make a point about what's going on here. But they're staying, and as they're staying employed by Microsoft, Microsoft is further censoring them by preventing them from sending emails that include very specific words like Palestine, genocide. There's more. I'll give you the details in a minute, but initial thoughts.
Yeah, so it's a tough balancing act because you want to draw attention, but you want to draw attention in a way that doesn't harm your cause. Mm-hmm. So some of the climate change activists that are throwing the fake paint on some of the top art in the world, don't worry, the art's not getting hurt. It's fake paint and it's already protected. But people don't know that and they do worry. And then they think, wait, are like these guys the Taliban and they're trying to attack art and our culture, et cetera? And that's not a great look, right? And so, and that was a tough one because they really got to bring attention to climate change. And I don't have wonderfully productive ways that they could do that without getting super negative publicity. Then there are easier ones that people who think that they're helping Palestine and they burn the American flag. That's a disaster. Do not do that. That is greatly counterproductive, okay? So this one, on the other hand, I think is a pretty good action, okay? Mm-hmm. And so first of all, it's targeted to the right group, right? The Mona Lisa isn't causing climate change, but Microsoft is working with the Israeli military. And if you're working with the Israeli military, you're helping them to commit a genocide. And so I know that some people will be triggered by this analogy, but you could substitute any analogy that you feel comfortable with. But if at the time there was a company working with the Germans in the 1930s and 40s, and people protested that, well, that would have made sense. I would have hoped that they would protest that, right?
Right.
And I would have hoped that they would have protested that significantly. And by the way, a bunch of American companies did work with the Germans for a very long time, right? And so, and here, they didn't stay and interrupt the guy from finishing his speech. The CEO got to finish his speech. They got to make a point, and everybody heard them. And then the speech continued. So I really can't ask for better than that.
Yeah.
I think that if you're gonna do a concerted action like this, I think this is probably the right way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. So he was able to finish his speech. The interruption was a brief interruption. The protester obviously made a point. I want to correct myself because I mixed a few things up here. So the IDF does use AI technology to carry out this genocide in Gaza. We've talked about that in previous stories. However, Microsoft, am I saying this right? As Azure, Microsoft Azure is a cloud computing platform, which is reportedly being used by the IDF. So in her address to an audience of about 100 military and industrial personnel, of which plus 972 magazine and local call obtained a recording, Colonel Rochelle Deminsky confirmed publicly for the first time that the Israeli army is using cloud storage and artificial intelligence services provided by civilian tech giants in its ongoing onslaught on the Gaza Strip. In Dembinsky's lecture slides, the logos of Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure appeared twice. Additionally, Dropsite News has uncovered that just days after the October 7th, 2023 attack and the start of the Israeli offensive in Gaza, Microsoft started pitching to the Israeli military, anticipating major military spending. Over the next few months, the Israeli military became one of Microsoft's top 500 global customers. So understandably, I would think, some of the employees over at Microsoft are uncomfortable about this and they want their voices to be heard. So Microsoft recently stated that they performed an internal report and found that their products did not cause harm to civilians in Gaza. It was Hamas using Gazans as human shields. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. They didn't say that last part, but I wouldn't be surprised if they repeated that ridiculous talking point. Now, according to No Azure for Apartheid, Microsoft's email filter, both automated and silent, includes the following trigger words, okay? Palestine, Gaza, genocide, apartheid. So if you're an employee over at Microsoft and you want to send an email, either to someone in the company or a company-wide email that includes those words will trigger the censor. So Microsoft has stated that the filter is intended to limit political speech. And so this group of workers notes that the following words are not blocked, by the way: Israel, IDF, abortion, gun control, Ukraine, Russia. So this isn't really about limiting political speech. This is about limiting a specific form of political speech on a specific issue that's critical of one of Microsoft's top clients, and that's the government of Israel. Some emails, by the way, that were flagged by the filter were completely blocked from being able to be sent. Others only sent after a very long delay. So, this is typically what happens when a company is unable to answer for the bad behavior or the fact that they're aiding and abetting bad behavior. Instead of addressing the substantive concerns, they just silence the concerns. They squash it.
Yeah. So let's be clear about this. This is not a normal thing. Hey, Nike did a deal with, some shoelace company, and the shoelace company didn't have exactly the right policies that you like, right? No. The AI that Israel uses is particularly loathsome. So there's the Where's Daddy program where they use AI to pick out targets, and it's anyone who they think at some point had a phone connected to someone in Hamas. Now, whether the person was originally in Hamas is not at all clear. It's all AI. It's all guessing. And then they go 2, 3 removed. So the person, by the time you get to the 3rd, 4th person removed, they have nothing to do with Hamas at all. They just happen to live in Gaza. And then they wait for that person to get home. That's why it's called Where's Daddy? And then they murder the entire family. They drop a bomb on the house, kill that person that AI picked, and their unfortunate family. And so that, you can't really use someone's services for something more evil than that. And so, by the way, let's note that Google's one of those companies, and Google's original motto was, don't do evil. Oops. They are doing core evil here. So which leads to point number 2, by the way. Israel now has co-opted some of the top companies in the country and in the world by just giving them contracts. And by the way, they give them contracts with our money. So first they take our money, then they give it to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, et cetera, our defense contractors. And so since the defense contractors are getting paid, they then do lobby on top of AIPAC and say, oh, you better fund Israel. You bet, because that money's coming to them, right? And then they also use Microsoft, Google, Amazon, et cetera, for their cloud computing for who they're going to murder. And so then all those companies then lobby the American government. So it's not just AIPAC. Now all of these giant corporations are saying, murder. We need to fund Israel with American taxpayer money. Bob and Susie in Kansas take money out of their check send it over to us so that Israel can kill Palestinians, drive them out of Gaza, steal that land, and finish their ethnic cleansing. So if you're gonna protest about anything, it would be this, right? And then of course, now it's a company, it's not the government. So they don't have to give you freedom of speech. So internally, they're like, what do you mean? We're making money on the murder. So shut up. And no, you're not allowed to criticize Israel. Israel's our client. You're not allowed to care about the Palestinians. The tool we're building helps Israel kill them. Well, what's the complaint about? If we don't help them kill those people, they won't pay us. And we're paid to help that murder happen. So shut up and serve Israel. And so that's the situation we're in. And if it makes you uncomfortable, great, perfect. I want you uncomfortable. You should be deeply uncomfortable that they're taking all of our money and giving it to these companies and then making sure that no one's allowed to criticize Israel within the companies, within college campuses, really anywhere in the country, because people are making too much money from that genocide.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.